I made some metallic wafer paper, and someone asked me how I did it, and it's probably easiest just to show how, because telling you is one thing, but showing is another. And this is what it looks like. I don't know if you can see, it's kind of shiny, and it definitely has a sheen to it. It's not just wafer paper that has luster dust on it, because you have to color it first. This is really very, very simple. It's the same principle as coloring fondant, and I have some fondant here to show you what I'm talking about. This obviously is orange. I bought some white out because I wanted to show the difference between starting with a color and starting with the white. Now, if you take a dry brush, this is super gold, and I got this from cakedeco.com. It's file and holing, and their website is cakedeco, cakedeco.com. And you can get it in the big pots like this instead of just the little ones, so that's a little handy. So if you just take the dry brush and put it on there, yes, it's metallic, but that's not going to give you the real high sheen. If you use, this is the same thing, but I've just put paint on it. I put vodka in there to mix it up, and I don't know if you can see that. It's paint, vodka and luster dust. If you take that and paint it on, see there's quite a difference. It's a little darker. You can get it, do a couple of coats. What I usually do with this kind of thing is I'll do a coat of the wet and then go back once this dries and dry brush over that. And that gives you a good base. But the point that I'm trying to make here is that if you start with white, you are going to get a gold color, but it's going to work better if you start with a color that's got a base that's closer to the gold itself. So usually I wouldn't do something that's orange. I would start with a yellow, but this is what I had, so it'll work. So you take the orange and dust over it with the gold, and that's a huge difference. So here's the white, and there's the orange, and you can see there's quite a difference there between the two colors. And depending on what color you want to end up with, you can use the different colors. The color that you have here is going to be the undertone, and that's going to shine through. So I'll put some, I'll do some champagne with this, because champagne has more of a pinky tone to it. So if I was going to do champagne, I would do something that had kind of more of a red base to begin with. Look at that. It's so easy. And people think, oh, it's so hard to get that color. But no, you just start with the colored fondant. And I will say that this fondant is fondant that also has some candy clay in it. So if you're going to use, like, if you want this kind of effect, it's good to use the candy clay, because the oils in it will pick up the dust, and it gives you a really good shine. Okay, so start with the colored fondant, whatever color you want it to be, kind of like the undercolor. Use the dust on top, and if you're going to do white, I would start with wet and then dry brush over it, but that'll give you the base color on there too. Now, to do the wafer paper, oh, I should just leave this open. It's the same kind of thing. Let me move this out of the way. Okay, this is the metallic wafer paper that I'm looking for. If I do it with just, I'll pick some of this up. This is the champagne. If I just brush the paper with the champagne dry, and it's white to start with, it doesn't give you a very good color at all. It's there, it's a little bit shiny. When I did this one, I started off with an ivory. I think, like you can see along the edge, it's a little bit ivory and some green to give it that color. So if you start with the yellow and put gold on it, it just totally picks up the yellow that's underneath, and the shine that you're going to get is not nearly as intense as it would be on the fondant, because there's no oils in these paper. Or there is oil, but it's not an oily surface like the fondant is with the modeling chocolate. So that's going to give you the shine there. I don't know if you can see that. Let me fold this over. Now that to me is not as shiny as I would want it to be. So I do a little more. You can take the wet. Once this has been painted, and I did this with food coloring and spray paint to begin with. Just get it a little wet. Put some more of this on there. So you just keep layering it, and now it's getting really gold. So that's a good way to do it. And you're going to get a good gold color on there without having to use the gold leaf, which is very expensive. So basically start with a color. It's going to show through And either use the wet and the dry brushes. And I'm going to put some green on here just for fun. I'll use this side. If you put green luster dust, or a different color, you can get the same effect. And just brush that on. It's not as shiny as I would like. And it's not as shiny as I would like it to be. So I'm just going to take some gold and brush that on top, kind of combine it. That will give you the shine. This obviously is better. That's pretty gold. So that works. So just do layers of it. With the wafer paper, start with airbrushing this. I would airbrush the white paper with an ivory color that's the base of the gold. You can also airbrush it with the gold luster dust if you have that, and then paint it with the dry. And that's about it.